Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we will be discussing the AC manufacturing space. There are 4 companies over here, okay? I will be covering today Pgel, okay? So earlier, we've already covered Amber, but today we will do Pgel and then after that we will do the other 2 companies that are there, okay? And then we'll do the P2P. Now the first thing first, let us talk about Pgel ka business model. Anyways, if you want to understand the business model in depth, I've covered it by sharing the screen, by doing a PPT in Q4 of FY25. I'm just going to link the video over here. But here, let us quickly wrap up the business model in 2 minutes, okay? So if you look at Pgel, there are 3 important streams of revenue that comes. The first stream of revenue comes is from your product segment. In this product segment, they do RAC and non-RAC product. Now, what is RAC? RAC is your room AC where you do different kind of indoor unit, outdoor unit, window unit and all those kind of AC. Now, the other non-AC part is your other products such as washing machines, different kinds of washing machines that you have, top load, fret load and all of this. So these are the 2, this is the first part called the product business. Now this contributes around 65 to 70% to the top line. Okay. The next part is your consumer base. The next part is your plastic molding, which is 25% of the revenue. Now over here, when you talk about plastic molding, they have this consumer durable, sanitary ware, all of this. Okay. Then the rest 13% comes from your electronics. Now when you talk about electronics, they do this different kind of boards such as printed circuit boards, PCBA, all these different kinds of assemblies are there which goes into your laptops and computers. That is what they do. So this is the complete business model. Now other than this, if you remember that in FY24 and beyond, they used to also manufacture TVs. Okay, this was also one of their products that they used to do under the electronic segment. Now what they have done coming forward especially in FY25, what they've done is they have segregated this segment. So this TV ka segment that is there, they have sold it. Okay, they have completely done a joint venture with another company called as Goodworth Electronics. Okay, with Goodworth Electronics they have done a JV. So no longer that TV that is there is manufactured by Pgel, but it is going to be a joint venture between Pgel and Goodworth Electronics. Okay, now over here again, like I told you, whenever you think about the revenue of this company starting from this year, you have to remember last year they had TV ka portion coming from their revenue, and now they do not have the TV ka portion coming from their revenue. That is the other business. It is a joint venture business that is coming. Okay, now talking about the FY24 numbers, in FY24 they had guided for FY24 ka, by the way, the full year ka revenue was 2,746 crore. Okay, and they told for the entire year of FY25, they're targeting around 3,400 crores in revenue. Okay, that is roughly like a 23%, 25% kind of growth from FY24 base. Now, this 3,400 crore doesn't include the revenue coming from your JV, which is your Goodworth ke saath jo TV ka JV hai na, that is not coming. If you include that 3,000 plus 600, 3,400 plus 600, that is around 4,000 crore of revenue. That was a target for the entire year of FY25. Okay, and they told like PAT that is there, PAT they're targeting around 200 crores. So if you compare it from the FY24 ka base, PAT growth will come roughly around 42%. So the target was around 23 to 32% in terms of top line if you include with and without the JV, and 42% in terms of your bottom line. So good operating leverage that we would see. Right, now coming to the first half of the year, H1, if you see, the numbers are quite exceptional. Like see, first of all, in Q1 only they have done really good set of numbers over here, and in Q2 if you see also they've continued that momentum. Okay, so if you see, the sales has grown by 45.8% on a year-on-year basis. If you check H1 over H1 basis, it has grown by 75%. Similarly, the PAT that you see, PAT has grown by 57% on a year-on-year basis, and it has grown by 95% on a H1 versus H1 basis. EBITDA margin also same. Last time it was 8.9, now it is 9, stable. Now margins haven't improved over here in spite of higher, you will see that higher pace of sales growth is because if you see the raw material cost, that is that the commodity cost still remains inflated, that hasn't really come down, so that is why. And PAT margin is also very stable. Last time it was 2.7 in last Q2, this time it is 3.1. So you will see good in all the metrics, right? Now you might ask me like, Prerna, the sales growth over here is 45%. If you look at last quarter was like 100%, like around in that range it was, and now it is 45%. So you might think like, bhai, ye to pace of growth has come down. Like, what are you talking? How are you telling the business is doing well? Like when you're telling the pace of growth is coming down, right? Like how is that possible? And QOQ also, there is this aberration that you see. So how are you telling? Because I always keep talking about pace of growth here, right? And why is that you see? Now, if you talk about PGL का business, like I told you, remember the business model I told you, product से कितना आते हैं 65 to 70%. In that product also, which is a main source of revenue, वहाँ पे ACs, right? Room ACs and different kinds of AC. Now, tell me over here, when is the time do you see that the AC का sales are going to be highest? Okay, tell me like when do you think that AC, you know, you will see a lot of demand for AC or the highest sale of AC? You will see in March, April, May, right? Or sometimes even in June also. But specifically in April and May, March, April, May, these are the 3 months, right? You would see why, because that is the summertime we have, and in India, you know, we have very harsh summers also in a lot of areas. So you see that April, May and March, like I told you, since AC is a main part of the business, you will see the highest growth over here in Q1. And like I told you, what are the Q1 months? April, May and June. So out of the 3 best months that we have, out of the 3 best months that we have, the 2 months fall in Q1. So that is why you see, when you take the full year ka revenue, when you see Q1 में highest amount of sales आते हैं पूरा साल का, okay, followed by in Q4, because in Q4 you have March का month that comes, so you know that Q4 is the best, followed by Q3, because in Q3 you have all these festival seasons now, so people tend to buy AC a lot, and then you have Q2, right? In Q2 what happens? Monsoon season. Now think about it, does anyone buy AC in monsoon season? Obviously not. At least in Q3 you have festivities, you buy over there, but in Q2 now, as a result, see, you go from the best season to the worst season. That is why you see the QOQ में इतना aberration है. That is number one. QOQ में aberration है, and second, that pace of growth का reason. See, this is why I keep telling over here, you know, don't run behind numbers alone. I always keep telling you, like, you know, always look at business model, because if you never understood the business model in the first place, you would never understand. If you don't understand the business model in the first place, you will never understand, you know, the numbers. Like if let's say you never had an idea about the seasonality and everything, then you would look at the numbers and be like, अरे pace of growth घट गया, क्यों में इतना fluctuations है, and you would have done a very incorrect analysis, or God forbid, if you had it in your portfolio, you probably would have made a wrong analysis and would have sold it, right? But that has not been the case. Okay, first of all, like I told you, with this 45% kind of growth that they have done in a lean quarter, like I told you, Q2 is a worst quarter for them, and in spite of that they have done 45% ka growth. They are getting closer to the target that they had given for FY25. Now there's another good news that comes, okay, that it is not just the, you know, the high pace of sales growth that has continued, but remember I told you unka target tha 3,400 crores without the JV, and with the JV it was 4,000 crore. That is what they targeted. Now in H1, in Q2 or Q2 end or H1 FY25 end, they came and they revised the guidance on the upper end. Now they are telling that for FY25, right, in FY25, the revenue growth, one second, let me get the exact numbers. Yeah, consolidated me, they're expecting a growth of, let's say, around 4,250 crores, right? Including the good work, like I told you earlier, it was 3,400 crore ka guidance. Now they're improvising that guidance to 4,250 crore. 3,000, like I told you, just look at the numbers. It's not like small number. 3,400 crore se 4,250 crore. Earlier it was a 23% ka growth engine. Now with the improved revised guidance, it goes up to be a 54.7% ka growth engine. Okay. Now if you include that JV, that 600 crore which is supposed to come from Goodworth Electronics, then the total revenue goes up to 4,850. So including the JV, the growth rate has improved from, let's say, 42 growth rate has improved, you know, to 77%, right? Like you can literally see the growth rate has more than doubled over here from last time to this time, right? Earlier it was how much, like I told you, 3,400 crores. Now it is 4,250 crore. This is without the JV, and with the JV it can go up to 4,850 crore, which is a 77% kind of growth over the last year ka top line, right? So this is a very, very good news. I always keep telling you, remember that, like, you know, whenever the guidance is improved on the upper hand, it is like a great news for investor, because you're indirectly telling कि like आगे जाके और भी अपना pace का, you know, sales growth का pace will be up, right? So now we've covered the guidance on FY24, we've covered the existing numbers, we've covered the seasonality part, we've covered the FY25 guidance. Okay. Now let us talk about the individual vertical that is there, that is the RAC business, the electronic business and all, how it is doing. Okay. Now when you talk about that RAC, now that room AC, which is the most important part of the business, this grew 212% on a year-on-year basis, and उनका washing machine segment that is there, it has grown by it has grown by 23%. Now 212% on a year-on-year basis, and H1 versus H1 it was 143%. And this is the highest. Like I told you, there is Amber here, there is EPAC Durable. I believe EPAC Durable grew by 112% with the room AC business. I'm not sure. I'll have to again revisit the number, but I remember that Pgel is the highest, because Amber I believe also did around 90% odd, right? So I don't have the exact numbers right now. I will let you know in the P2P when I do, because I'll do the screen sharing. Now that time it will be better. But Pgel has the highest in terms of room AC, that is 143%. Okay, other segments are also same, they are also doing well. One of the reason why you see this has continued over here, the pace of growth, is because, see, like I told you now, RAC ka business, that AC ka business is very prominent in the first half, in April, May and June. In the second quarter that we see, for the first time we see that the summers that have been there have been extended a little bit in the first months of, in the first few weeks of even June also. So that is why this momentum has continued, and as a result, you see that RAC still continues to grow. In fact, usually when you see in Q2 now, the non-RAC part is a higher component of revenue growth compared to the RAC part, but this time it has been completely different. Where we see that, even RAC part is doing really well, even in Q2, okay. Other than that, if you talk about the Capex for the entire year of this year, FY25, they had planned 350 to 380 crore in Capex, okay. And in Bhiwadi, they had a ACA plant that has been coming up, that has been fully functional. The other Capex plans that is there are on track. That is in Supa, they're putting up a new building for AC production. In Greater Noida, they're putting up a new building. All of this are on track and everything is good, okay. Now, other than that, other than this Capex, I think a lot of people had this, how do I put this? A lot of people had this thinking like, Pgel will enter into this IT hardware segment, okay. Now over here, and that will obviously add to another stream of revenue. Now here the problem is, like if you look at the AC business, right, one of the reasons that AC business has grown really well is whoever is doing this AC, such as let's say Voltas, Blue Star and all, they are forced to buy AC from the local manufacturers, because a lot of schemes has been come by the government, a lot of ban on the imports, right, from your gas and everything. So that is what is also fueling the demand over here, along with a very strong summer season that we've had this year, okay. Now, when you talk about this IT hardware, we do not see a similar environment. Like when you talk about the ban on this IT hardware imports that are there, it is not that much. It is there for few components, not for few components. So, which existing companies जो यहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं, which are making this IT hardware companies, although they're approved for this PLI scheme, they're not having any business at all. Absolutely no business over here. Like I told you, because that import ka regulation is still not top notch, right? So the management ka ye bolna hai ki like when this import ka duty or this regulation becomes even more stringent, and as a result, because of these tailwinds open up, and let's say the PLI 2.0 scheme comes, then we will go and we will see about it. As of now, we do not have any plan. Okay, just last part we will cover. I think that is it. Other than that, they have another subsidiary called PG Technoplast, okay. यहाँ पे ये क्या करता है, these Technoplast people, this PG Technoplast people, they got into an exclusive manufacturing with this company called Spiro Mobility, which is in Africa, to manufacture lithium batteries over here. So this is another update with their subsidiary. Like I told you, the existing business, which is the core business, is AC, is doing well. Other than that, the other subsidiaries that are there, Goodworth के साथ जो TV subsidiary, PG Technoplast, which is doing that lithium ion का subsidiary, lithium ion का batteries, everything is doing well for them. Really great business. And along with that, when you're doing the guidance ka, you're increasing, like it's a icing on the cake. It's like a cherry on the cake, you can tell. Okay. Last part we will come is to the financials part. Of course, over here you will see the debt has been up, but the reason the debt has been up is because there is so much demand and they have to put up this capex for that demand, and they need a working capital requirement, right? Like see, entire आपको पूरा साल का ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा revenue comes from Q1, and for that you have to like make sure get all the inventories and everything up and get your capacity up. So as a result, you will see the inventories and everything is up, and debt is also at a very, if you look at the debt to equity ratio, it's at a proper 0.2 only. It's not like it's going above that also. So it's valid over here. And debt is not bad, okay. Let's say debt is bad when, let's say when you have growth, and let's say that debt, and you need that money for capex and everything, it makes sense. But let's say you have debt and यहाँ पे growth नहीं है and everything is going downward, आपका capex जो है करा है आपने, it is not going on track, you're not getting any order for the capex, then it becomes a problem. Here it is ulta, na, they see the visibility and hence the capex has been done, and for that capex they have taken a debt, okay. That is one part. The other part is, I think I don't know if you all know that they have done QIP of 1500 crores they have raised. That is also one of the reason is because last QIP that they've done, that is in last year FY23-24, they did that to fund their working capital requirements. This capex that they're doing is to, again, they are looking for new ventures, new growth opportunities. They're seeing a lot of it. They're seeing a capex, and you always know, right? Like I really love the management over here with PGL. You know, they're like a very silent killers. You know, like in a good way. Like, you know, they come in the call and they're like, you know, they have this a little bit like smirk also, like again in a good way, where they like under promise and over deliver. They're like, we can only do so much, and then you go see the next quarter they do like a lot. You know, they come and they increase the guidance and all. Similarly over here also, I mean, they never tell upfront like what capex and everything you have. It will always be all the good news that you see is like a surprise to you. So I'm pretty sure if they're doing this QIP, they have something good coming up also. Okay, the last part let us discuss is the valuation. Okay, see, now as you know, guidance has been revised. That is number one thing. So they went from a mere 23 to 32-35% ka growth engine to right now, with and without the JV, they are around, you know, kitna, almost 7 with the JV. If you consider, there is 54 to 77% ka growth engine with and without the JV. Okay, that is one thing. The second thing, even in the PAT also guidance has been revised, right? Because earlier they told that they will do a PAT of 200 crore for the entire year FY25. Now they're telling the PAT will be around 250 crore, right? So PAT is also growing from last year to this year 82.5%. Now let's talk about the valuation. Agar aap market cap dekhte ho, market cap is 17,813. Okay, 17,813 divided by 250 crore is 71.6. Now you might look at an absolute number ki like are 71.66 hai, and you might tell that the valuation is expensive, but you need to understand over here that PGL right now is cheaper than what PGL was back then in Q4. If you remember, I think in Q4 when we did the valuation calculation, PGL was a 30% growth engine at 35 or 40p. I think the range comes at that, as much as I remember from that video that I did. And now, oh, I can't believe the market cap has literally doubled, because that time the market cap was 10,000 crore, and abhi you're getting a 80% ka growth engine, almost 77 to 80% ka growth engine at 71. There you saw it. Even that time, the growth was more compared to the P. Now at least it is at the same level you're talking. And see, ultimately, जब एक company आ रहा है, guidance बढ़ा रहा है, every quarter they're coming, they're increasing the guidance, right? And the growth rate is improving. Understand that. यहाँ पे growth rate बढ़ रहा है, right? And the valuation becomes cheaper over here as your growth rate, as your profitability increases over here. And not just that, if you look, PGL is the highest growing among everybody in the AC manufacturing space, right? So that's that I wanted to cover. Anyways, that's it about PGL. We will be covering EPAC Durable next, and after EPAC Durable we will do, there's another company, Amber I've already covered, and then I will do the P2P. I'll do the P2P and that last company that I have to do in one video. Okay, so that's that for today's video. See you again. Bye.